with a little lap. How do people work like this? Stop video, because that'll just probably crash the whole thing. One more check for DK so you can check in. Nope, DK is missing. Welfare check. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your weekly call. My name is Lee Honish. I am joined by our Chief Operating Officer, broker, and mortgage broker, Fred Solomon. How are you, Freddie?
Good. I'm doing great.
So the actual discussion today is the recession, right? Talking about inflation and what the number is going to be and what does that mean and what's that doing to the news and what does that mean, right? This week seems to be, we're kind of in the second week. Please go to homeadvocates.io, click on the videos and check them out. But our discussions seem to be generally revolving around being able to talk about the market competently, right? All right. I'll turn.
Yeah.
Fred's on Facebook.
I was just trying to put it on my timeline, so I was listening to you, but
No, it's all good. So everything is about the conversation, right? I think the theme that I'm going for this week is having the constant conversation and being able to competently talk about the market, right? So in my mind, there is basically one step, two steps really. One, are you doing marketing to get to that conversation? Again, go to homeadvocates.io, click sign up. I'm actually going to be doing a webinar tonight and tomorrow night. Number two, you can also just go directly and sign up right now and get a system that will guarantee to get you face-to-face, homeadvocates.io. So that's one way. The second way is you do content. And we've said it a million times here, create content, create any video. I don't even know if you have to. I tested this with the Will Smith thing before we get to what the real topic should be. And that's what I've been shooting this week. I've been shooting videos about the recession. It's been the discussion. It's a news trend. I would be a fool not to do it for my clients to discuss that trend. I don't think it's any different than Will Smith's slap, right? Like, I think you need to be very hyper aware of what's trending in the market. And I again, you know, Derek's not on the call, but it's about being able to have some form of an icebreaker and a conversation. I mean, for you, isn't everything about just, you meet new people all the time. You go and play golf at a club. How often are you asked, what do you do?
quite a bit. Quite a bit. It definitely comes up in the conversation one way or another.
Yeah, I tell everybody, I'm not even completely convinced that the best form of marketing right now is, when's the farmer's market? In fact, I was just having this conversation with my friend just the other night. I go, you have a farmer's market and you're not going. Like, that's the best, easy, lowball marketing that exists, period. Right? I don't understand why more people don't actually, like, what, you've been doing this a long time. What is it about us? I'll go to the David Bartels statement. Why are agents undercover all the time? Are we just embarrassed by our industry?
You know, I think it has to do with your inner passion and how strongly you feel about things, and how comfortable you are when you talk about certain things. To me and you, it consumes us. We are always talking about it. We can't help it but talk about it. That's, I mean, like with my friends, it's the first topic that comes up because
What do you
they,
think's going on, Fred? Yeah, I would love to believe that about my friends, right? Like
yeah,
it really doesn't. You know, the question I get more often than not is about marketing. Like, what do you think would be the best way for me to do X, Y, Z? Well, for your business, I would do this, or I would put a business card can, or I would like, I, I think and, and I've spent the time. I've become more known over the last decade for creating this amazing guaranteed marketing, which is great. But at the end of the day, I can't turn my banker brain off, right? In fact, Jim Cooper was talking about it in the comment. He goes, I feel much better not watching the news. I go, yeah, I can only do it 3 days a week. Like I literally can only do this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I can't look at the news beyond that unless it's Free Britney Spears or something very low hanging and easy for me to digest. Like I didn't when we were in Vegas. I'm a huge drum fan, and you were telling me about Taylor Hawkins on a Saturday night, a full day after it happens. That's how disconnected. And he's one of my influences that made me want to play drum. Like that was a full day after it happened. And it was so devastating to me. You saw it live on my face. Like it's like you told me that my pet had died while I was away at summer camp. I mean, it was, what do you mean? So to me, watching the trends, and today's one of the biggest trends. This is Super Bowl level trends when we start to talk about, recession. And so that brings us to today's bet, Fred. Last month we were at 8.5. They are speculating. I'm going to be fair for everybody who want to play along at home or on Facebook Live. They are speculating that they're going to say 8.1. And Biden did a full speech about it yesterday. And basically, no doubt, because I watched every interview from every angle, his shoulders kind of shrugged. I think it's going to be worse long before it gets better. We don't like honesty in this country. We want to be lied to. I think that's, you're an honest real estate professional. You're an honest mortgage broker. Why is it that people are just so obsessed with, please lie to me and tell me I'm going to qualify for 1.5?
I don't think they want you to lie to them. I think they just want to see, if they can qualify for it and what they need to do in order to do it. I mean, but as far as the media lying to you, I mean, oh my God, there's so many instances of things that I've heard over the last couple months or a year or so that are just so ridiculous. And I could go into it, but I don't want to bore people with the details. But, I talk to doctors who are clients of mine. I know what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh my God, it's horrible. Psychologically speaking, people are eating themselves alive in this market. At some point, the investors are going to stop buying. Like they just are. Okay, that's what investors. Here's another topic we haven't talked about. The stock market is in the tank, and it's been in the tank for a while. Like it's really not really recovering, and especially tech. Being up here in the Bay Area this week, it's a thing around here. This is the discussion up here, right? It's all coming to a head, Fred.
Well, the numbers are pointing and they're very clear what's going on. And this is 1980 all over again. History does repeat itself. We're just dealing with bigger numbers than we were 40 something years ago. But it's exactly the same thing. Stagflation, slow growth or negative growth in this case, and high numbers on inflation. It's a real problem. The inflation numbers came out this morning, 8.3%. It was down 0.2%. That's great. That was for April. I don't know what's going to happen with wage inflation, but 5.5%. So if wage inflation stays the same and inflation stays in the eights, and we have another quarter of negative growth on the GDP, then by definition, we are in a recession, and that could happen as soon as 3 months from now.
Right.
Well, actually, at the end of June would be but then the numbers don't come out until July something. So it usually comes out about 30 days after the end of the quarter. So we would probably find out towards the middle or end of July that we were in a recession officially.
Yeah. And I don't know why we do that when it already feels this is a very weird thing where it needs the label to be declared, but I've been alive long enough to safely tell you, or even looking out into the harbor here and still seeing supply chain, or for those of you who don't watch the news, finding out there's no baby formula. Like, I don't even understand that. Why is there no baby formula on the shelves? Like, there's something horribly broken. We're watching crime increase. I was watching this morning in Portland, the amount of homeless camps and homelessness and the increases and the people actually in the middle making their payments, like starting to lose their mind. We talked to T. Miller yesterday. I don't know if she's on the call, but Carol brought this up yesterday. She's not, but Carol brought this up yesterday. The increase in suicide rates. Like, this country is boiling over. And here's a good one. Okay. Now the CDC is saying that there's a hepatitis thing happening with children about the age of 2. We don't think it's tied to COVID or the vaccine. Well, what? They got it by osmosis all over the country? Like, we're in a very big boiling point as real estate professionals, and we have to have very real conversations with people on a daily basis. These are very real conversations. Like, everything's a starter. I'm not saying you have to be a beast and go, yeah, I know about recessions and I know about this, or yeah, I know about. You just got to be able to break the ice. I mean, you take a day off, you go play golf. I love talking marketing. Like, you can take me out for an evening and get me to talk marketing, but there's nothing more fun than going out and not talking about anything but nonsense. I want to talk about Free Britney, to be perfectly honest. I'm with Jim Cooper on this. Civil War 2.0 on the horizon. It's already kind of happening. We literally had a group of individuals within the last year storm the Capitol to overturn an election based on an outcome they did not like. Okay. That's reality in this country. Like, people get angry, and then we get mad at the law, and then people don't make payments, and then they fight that system, and then they get free money. And all of this, am I explaining this correctly? Everything has to be a conversation to get to one question. What do you do? Right? The connector.
Oh, you mean as far as
anything? I think all of this connects, right? Like, I think my point this week with our conversations has been about the same, right? Knowing about the recession, knowing that it's going up, or that we're in our whatever. I don't expect you guys to go to homeadvocates.io, click on videos, and watch how the dollar works. And you can literally see a video that I posted, I don't know, 10 years ago on how the dollar works. We have created a world that I don't know if I'm left. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm a moderate. You kind of, as a real estate professional or even as a marketer for me, I don't really, I never claim political affiliates, if that makes sense. I just kind of ride the wave of the conversation because I'm chasing what I'm chasing, if that makes sense.
So what you're saying is that you are in the
People
a belief
business.
system that everything that is going on in the news is intertwined, and you're able to, I mean, I'm trying to grasp
No, no,
your,
I'm with you. And that's what I think I've been trying to say, and anybody can comment because you've watched this for the last couple of weeks. I think there's something to be said. Like I think you so I can do mechanics and do real marketing all day long, right? And then have real conversations about the value of your property, whether or not we're in a recession, whether or not we're in hyper, like I can do all that. But I think the biggest skill that a real estate professional or an investor has is going out on the street and being able to have conversations about a little bit about everything, if that makes sense. And I believe it's all intertwined. And I think it's kind of on us to just kind of watch it. I'm not saying you have to be an expert. I'm not asking you guys to, like, for the red people. Yeah, I'm watching Oregon videos about homelessness and the effect it's having on the value. That's my job, right? That is literally my job. Uh, but what I believe is you kind of have to gauge the climate and understand that there are still 1.5 million real estate agents. There are at least a million or a million and a half investors floating around dropping offers on anything that isn't bolted down. And people are frustrated. And if you really don't remember the 80s, it was tense. It was really tense, Fred. I was a child and it was tense.
you know, I I remember that in your bank account you would get 9% on your money, as far as the interest rate in a checking account. I do remember how high the rates were. They were 18, 15% on mortgages, and everybody's trying to justify right now, oh, historically the rates are still low. That's true, they are, but if you look at and analyze it, if we were at 2.625 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and now we're in the 5.5% range, 5.375, that's 2.75% difference. And on $1 million, 2.75% is $27,500 a year. That's more than $2,000 a month. It's gonna have an effect on real estate. It's the only thing that's going to stop it from having an effect is low inventory. If the inventory stays low, then it's a supply and demand issue. But if sellers start saying to themselves, honey, we better sell this house because it looks like real estate prices are going to start coming down. And if we're going to sell, now's a really good time to sell. If everybody starts thinking like that, which is not a crazy idea to think like that at all, do a poll on your Facebook wall and ask people, where do you think prices are going to be in 2 or 3 years? Same, higher, or lower? And you're going to see it's about a 50-50 split between people. And it's just good information to throw out there and get feedback and response on. And these are people that don't know the data and don't study the data. They're just thinking, half the people out there think, hey, there's a bubble. We're in a bubble and it's got to come down. That's what they think. And they have no justification in that thought process. They're just thinking that prices are so damn high, it's got to come down. And then there's the other people who think, no way, we have no inventory. There's no way the prices can come down because there's no inventory out there. And we're getting 10 and 15 offers on every home that we list for sale. And they're still bidding up above the asking price. So
They are, but the
those-
number, and I'm going to say this because I do red calls every day and I actually have real-time data. The number of those offers is decreasing.
That's true.
That's a very real thing all the way into New York and LA County. Like that's a very real discussion that I have every week. I start every call when I shoot a red video with a client. First question, how's the market from your perspective? What do you see? It's kind of slowing down, right? It's not 40 offers and I'm offering my kidney to buy a house, right? It's now in some markets 20, 10, 5. They had to lower it. And Don brought it up. Lee said it earlier. When the investors stop buying, what's going to happen to this market? What's going to happen? Let's be really honest. Let's go with the bare minimum and what we've talked about on this call. Bare minimum. Let's say we just go all the way to like 6 and change for the year, right? People remember this isn't the old days where we didn't have the internet, right? People remember 2007. That's what this is really all dictated on. And I think it's important for everyone on the call or everybody listening to keep in mind that all these factors matter for people making a decision on buying or selling. Why do I want to sell? They stopped. We were doing about 1 million homes. Like we were cruising right along. Like it wasn't a supply and demand issue going into the pandemic. What happened was, I'm not selling. I'm good right here. And how's the refi market right now, Fred?
100% dead.
And what was it through the pandemic with that 3% or whatever a ghastly rate that they had?
Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So you got to watch the trends. I'm fascinated that real estate professionals, from investors to agents, does it all matter? It all matters in a strange way, even to Will Smith's slap. It's a conversation starter, which gets me to, what do? I do real estate. I fix broken real estate, right? What have we said 1 million times? No, go ahead. Google Home Advocates. I would say this to anybody on the call, first time on it, or if you're on Facebook, Google Home Advocates. Okay. There's a reason why I put my people on the front page. At the end of the day, you're probably going to talk to me. I got the conversation starter. Now the discussion starts. So what's phase 2 of the conversation? Well, from my perspective and anybody rational, we're in a hyperinflation period, which will ultimately lead to a recession. And there is no such thing as a recession without real estate prices dropping. I just had this conversation with somebody who wants to buy and they go, I'm going to wait. I already know what's going to happen. I already know what's going to happen. And I wouldn't disagree with it. Like we're going to go through another cycle. There's no way around it, right? And we still, as we talked about yesterday, you're talking 3 million people. What happens when millions of homes start to hit the market that are going into foreclosure? What do you do when millions of renters are being turned out? We can only build so many homeless camps. Like this affects us in real estate. And what breaks my heart, and this is legitimate, one of the things that legitimately breaks my heart, Fred, is NAR should be talking about this, not me. I mean, to be perfectly honest, you guys need to be appropriately, I'll use the clever marketing term. You need arrows in the quiver when having a conversation with a homeowner. And I'm not saying you got to be an expert, but you have to be able to have that discussion. It's not your listing presentation. It's not you knocking doors. It just isn't in this market. It's what do you know about this market that I need to know? What's going on in the real world? The Portland, Oregon thing blew my mind and I didn't know it. Like, that is not a place that I would have picked for the level of insane. Like, I would have picked San Diego first, but let's use San Diego because this is a deciding factor. Why am I paying so much to live here when I can go move to, all right, not maybe Temecula, parts of Temecula, or come up here to parts of the Bay Area and be here with friends, or go out by my daughter who's going away to college. Like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, you've kind of lost control of your city and you want me to pay top dollar to live here. And I think these are real conversation starters. And I think conversation starters are what get you listings. And I think we overlook it. It's natural for you. But for somebody, this is what you shoot content on. This is what you post on your wall. That, like, let's talk all the real mechanics here of being an agent. Like, you got to put it out there. Like, this is it's just got to be done on a consistent basis, especially in this market. There are, let's just go with what Fred said. Half the population has questions about what's happening. And that's buyers, sellers, referrals. Your entire business is buyer, sellers, referrals. I don't care if you're an investor, buyer, sellers, referrals. Am I missing this, Fred?
No, it's just as soon as they find out what you do, they're gonna ask you some questions sometimes, depending on who you're talking to. But, I was at a bar having dinner on, what was it, Friday night, and sat next to a guy who was a restaurant owner, and he was just sitting there having drinks, very talkative, the kind of person that would interrupt you when you're speaking. They like to be heard. They don't like to listen, those kind of people. By himself kind of guy, successful. And he started asking me questions. And then as soon as I start talking, he didn't want to listen to what I had to say. He only wanted to hear and talk about what he wanted to say. But the topic came up as soon as I told him what I did, because he asked me. So it was an interesting conversation. And he gave me his card and said, let's go play some golf, and I know when to shut my mouth with those kind of people and let them blab and talk because then they were like, oh my God, you're such a cool guy, because all you did was listen to them and they didn't listen to you at all. But that's just the way some people are. But it was entertaining for me. It was, just listening to the guy. So,
but it's an opening to a possible deal in the future. What I've seen out of top producers as I've analyzed them, it's a relationship business. Would we agree that real estate buyer, seller, investor, right? It's a relationship business.
100%.
Okay. So we all know people that shouldn't even be able to tie their shoelaces in any one of those categories, be successful. And I've analyzed those people that are very good, that shouldn't even be, like, you shouldn't talk about real estate. Like the information is like my point to that is, what are they doing that makes them special, right? So as I analyze all this, and that's my job's to analyze and be efficient for the people that pay to be in the coaching group, that pay to get pre-foreclosure properties, that pay for me to shoot video for them. I need to effectively and efficiently find the best way. I mean, this past week has been remarkable because Red Videos are now shooting people into the funnel going, I think I have a short sale. I think I need to sell, right? And now we're starting to do these conversions, and the funnel started for everybody, right? You've invested the time, you've shot the video, and while it took a while, And I told you it would take a while. And David Bartels, my former business partner, basically told me, if you're going to go the digital route, it's going to take a while. And it did. I thought I would be quicker and smarter than it. Doesn't matter. People have to watch it. They got to watch 5 videos. They got to watch 10 videos. There is something to be said about the mathematics of marketing, which takes us back to the age-old statement. How did the conversation start? How much follow-up did I do? I mean, it really, as we've been talking about this for the last 3 or 4 weeks, Fred, it really is that simple. How did the conversation start? How did I get them to that point? How did I get their information? How many times did I follow up? And then the conversions start to happen and the referrals start to happen. And I don't know why and I shouldn't be amazed by this. How is there not a list where, like, are you not following up with past clients you've actually helped? Like, and I'm sure if everybody on this call was honest with themselves and I said, do you have a list of, let's go with something very simple that's near and dear to our heart to end out this call. How many of you honestly, and I'm not asking for hand raises, and that includes Facebook. I'm not asking anybody to do this. Be honest to yourself. Do you physically have a spreadsheet with every client you've worked with that you've had a conversation with? I can tell you this, the Red people and I have a relationship. They are my clients. We talk and we talk about my life. We talk about what's going on in current events. Like we talk, we connect. You're big on this. So I'll turn this over to you.
Connecting, absolutely. That's my whole entire way of existence. And when it comes to marketing, that is for sure. And you gotta figure out way to engage people to get them to respond to your statements or content that you put out there. And I've gotten really good at that in the last couple years because I've done so much of it. And I put the foreclosure activity up there. No one responds to it. I put the economic data up there. I get a lot of response. I put my comments about where do you think housing prices are going to go? I get a lot of response. I put my marketing material about my Hawaii condo. I get a lot of response. So you just got to figure out what creates the response. And the way you do that is by putting up different things on your Facebook or on your social media, whatever else you use, and you'll figure out what gets your responses and what doesn't. But here's the beautiful thing about it, is it doesn't cost you any money to do it. To put up a Facebook post is 100% free. So if it doesn't work out, it didn't cost you any money to try it. And that's what I love about it. So you just try different things and you keep trying it until you figure out what works and what doesn't work. I now know what works. Economic data, people are all over it.
Right now
They are all over the economic data. They love that stuff. Anything else, they're like, all right, we'll give it a like maybe, but it's, you just, for people who want to know what works and what doesn't work, go on my Facebook page and read all my Facebook posts. And then basically you can figure out by the response and by the number of likes and the comments, what information creates a lot of response and what information that I'm putting out there, or what content that I'm putting out there that doesn't. And even people that respond, other marketing people or other people, they look at it and they go, oh, this is good content. Thank you for posting.
I
People,
agree.
people respond to it.
Well, there's something to even be said about these Facebook Lives that we do on Wednesday every once in a while, right? On my timeline, I'm already perceived as this kind of standoffish banker, and I've got a perception to me, right? And people are, how do I put this even for people on the call? People are generally afraid of me, right? Like I kind of have a reputation that I've built for the last 14 years being me, right? So, and then I look at Fred's timeline, they're responding. They're involved in the engagement and commenting. I think that's really important to note, right? I've only actually completely reinvented myself over the last year of, working on myself, Fred, and being a different person. And this coaching group is a big representation of that. Like this group has been very, very positive for me. So I 13, 14 years of being a hard ass banker that will rip your face off for questioning my knowledge, right? As compared to, oh, you became a nice guy over the last year. Good for you. And you have been you for as long as I've known you. Excuse me. Choked on my coffee. And there's something to be said about that. There's something to really be said about your temperament, the conversation. I don't have political affiliation. I don't really care what you're talking about. This is the information I have. This all comes into play. And as we start to go into a recession where it will really, really affect real estate prices, like we really are going to be doing short sales. Like this is really going to happen. And yes, while I predicted it, while I can show my proof and show my videos long before anybody shot the first video, okay, cool. Doesn't mean anything because people, my daughter's stepfather, very good friend of mine, Charles, always told me, he was the assistant to the mayor of San Diego. He goes, people only know 6 weeks forward and 6 weeks backward. That's your clients. They don't care beyond that period. Like that's really totally different. It's really, 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 really totally different. And it changed my view over the last year when he gave me that speech. I go, that's how political people see it. They go, oh, they know you'll forget. They know you'll forget. It's true, right? So you have to keep all of this in mind when you're talking about real estate. Your clients are concerned about tomorrow. Is my value going to change? How long will I keep my value going? How many offers are happening in the market? What's your icebreaker to get there? What are we talking about today? Right. And today it's, the recession numbers, and they haven't come out yet. Right. So it's not till midday, or have they actually released them, Fred?
Release what?
The actual number for this month. Today's the day.
For inflation?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was this morning, and I posted about that. It was 8.3%. It was down 0.2%. So
okay,
that's good.
Well, considering that they were predicting and by the way, I watched the news before it all happened. I didn't look at it. I was, doing something else before this started. The left side was predicting 8.1 and the right side was predicting about 8.5. And we landed 8.3?
Yep. For April.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have a comment. So, and I want to get back to what you were saying, but I wanted you to finish your thought.
No, it's all good.
The problem when people talk about politics, there are a lot of political posts on social media.
It's crazy.
And I want to just point this out because you brought up politics, and this is something that should never show up on your Facebook or on your social media. And let me explain why. I'm on a political talk radio station. KBC 790 is as conservative as they come as far as political talk. And they always ask me my political opinion. I went out last night with some friends and they asked me my political opinion. And you know what I tell them? I have one. I don't have enough time in the day to sit here and discuss it with you because you're either going to agree with me or you're not. And if you don't agree with me, you're going to rip me a new one because you have an opinion about it that's going to be much stronger than mine. And I'm going to alienate 50% of the people because 50% are Republican and 50% are Democrat. And you don't want to alienate anybody when you're trying to sell their house or do a mortgage loan for them. You want everybody to like you. So stay away from politics on your Facebook. Just don't do it. The same thing with religion. Now, one of my things is I joke about my religious background, and I'm only making fun of myself when I say, I'm not a doctor, I don't save people's lives, but I do the next best thing and I save them money. And, I don't know, last time I checked, Solomon is it's not a nice Christian boy's name. It's a Jewish person's name. And what do Jewish people like to do? They like to save money. So I'm just helping my people out. That you can make fun of yourself and have fun with it, but don't get into political discussions or religious discussions on your Facebook or social media. And I can't tell you how strongly I feel about that.
I 100% agree with you, right? 100. When I was first testing the red videos a couple of years ago with a couple of people, I had a client who was extremely right. And not good, bad, or indifferent, just extremely right. But I don't care if you're an anti-vaxxer. I don't care if you're into Trump and you believe that they should have stormed the Capitol that's not my point. You know what I post about, Fred? My freaking scooter. That's what I post about, right? That's all I post about. I don't even post food because I don't want to piss off, vegans. I just don't. Alienating any group that could possibly hire me to do marketing or be a part of my real estate groups, it's mind-boggling to me how in real estate specifically, people feel like that's their forum to go post their opinion. Technically it is. I believe in freedom of speech. If you want to know my opinion, you have the right to do that. However, if it costs me money, that means it costs my daughter money. Okay. It means I don't pay my bills. And, when I shoot the red videos, it's as generic and bland as I can humanly make it. Maybe in Florida, because I think Ron DeSantis, and I like him, by the way, as a governor. I think economically he's fantastic. I think him going to war in Florida is nuts. Like, you're pissing off Disney, bro. Like, I don't understand why it's got to be so divisive, especially when you talk marketing. Like, Ron's got to rerun at some point. Like, he's got to. Like, you don't get to be king of Florida. So he's not being forward thinking. He's playing to the percentage that will be appealed by his decision. People are split on Roe v. Wade. Do I think it affects everything? Yeah. Actually, I think it affects real estate prices, and I'll tell you why. There are going to be dumbass real estate agents, and I say that respectfully, that are going to post their opinions online, and it's going to cost them money at the end of the day. Like, I think you have to be, and I don't know it to be true, but we got to be Switzerland on this, Fred. Like, I think as who we are, cool. That's you, boo. Do I get the listing? I mean, I feel like I'm insane for saying it all kind of matters in a strange way. It all matters, especially when people are looking for data, when people are missing payments, when you're out putting up tags, when you're putting out content, when you're having you're, I would assume you have real conversations when you go out. At least that's what I've been professing to you guys. I think these are all real things.
Yeah, absolutely. They're real things. And every, just when keep your, I'm not weird, and I don't, I don't go around like Eagle Hawk and try to hear what everybody's talking about. But I guess part of having ADD or whatever I got, I think me and Lee are very similar in this area. But my attention is diverted very easily when I hear the topic of other people talking at another table, and I'm not gonna sit there and listen to their conversation, but it if there's someone talking at another table, something about my ear just picks up on what they're talking about. And then, and I'm not the kind of guy that will butt in on another person's conversation or anything like that. But at the end of the conversation, if I hear, hey, so-and-so's looking to buy a house or something like that, I might walk up to them and hand them my business card, which I rarely carry, but I might walk up to them and say, hey, I have a great program that if your client or your friend is looking to buy a house, I give back 25% of my real estate commission back to the client when they use me to represent them on their purchase. And then I just say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say that. Have a great night and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes they'll ask me a question, and sometimes they'll just say thank you and take the card. But I mean, I do that probably once or twice a week. And I don't know what the percentage of people that call me, maybe 1 out of 20 might call, 1 out of 50. It's a very low percentage, but it was an opportunity, and I heard them talking about it. So I'll go give them my card, but I'm not going to sit there and get into a conversation about it from my table to their. Everybody's different, but that's just me. Derek, on the other hand, would be over sitting down at their table and saying, hey, how's it going? Can I get you guys a drink? He'll be sitting at their table within 5 minutes. That's how he operates.
I would probably be there with raised eyebrows going, I'm sorry, what did you say? If you're on Facebook Live, thank you for being on Facebook Live. Google Home Advocates. We'll add links later on in the day if they're not up by now. But we'd love to hear your opinions on social media about the recession, especially those of you in the real estate community, on conversation starters and knowing a little bit about everything, or honestly not having an opinion and catering to your clients, I think is kind of the outcome of today. We're going to do some live questions for the group here. All right.